Pearl, you're saying I deliberately harmed you during surgery? That's a serious accusation. The second surgeon found surgical gauze left inside me, Onyx. Gauze with your initials on it. How do you explain that? Mistakes happen in surgery. It's unfortunate, but… Mistakes? You left foreign objects inside me that caused infections and kept me hospitalized for months. The review board said the placement was deliberate. You can't prove intent, and after everything I've done for you, this is how you repay me. My surgeon brother deliberately botched my emergency surgery to keep me dependent. Hi, I'm Pearl. Today I'm going to tell you my story. But before I continue, please like, share, and subscribe to hear more stories like this. My brother Onyx was always the golden child. 8 years older than me, brilliant, driven, destined for greatness according to our parents. He graduated top of his class from medical school, completed a prestigious surgical residency, and became a trauma surgeon at Metropolitan Hospital by the time he was 32. I was the afterthought, the surprise baby born when my mother was 41, when my parents thought they were done having children. Onyx was already in high school when I was born, and my parents' energy for parenting had largely been exhausted. They were proud of their successful son, and seemed perpetually tired of their late-in-life daughter. Growing up, I idolized Onyx. He was smart, accomplished, respected. He mostly ignored me except during family gatherings, when he'd pat me on the head like a pet and ask generic questions about school. But as I got older, I noticed something strange. He seemed irritated whenever I succeeded at anything. When I got into a good university on scholarship, he told me, "State school is fine for some people. Not everyone can handle elite institutions." When I graduated with honors, he said, "Undergraduate degrees don't mean much anymore. It's graduate school that matters." When I got engaged to my boyfriend Caspian Merrick, Onyx pulled me aside and said, "Are you sure you're ready for marriage? You've always been a bit immature." Every achievement was minimized. Every milestone was diminished. But I told myself he was just being a protective older brother. My parents, Garnet and Flint Vance, never noticed. They were too busy bragging about Onyx's latest surgical success to pay attention to my life. I worked as a physical therapist at a rehabilitation center. I loved my job, helping people recover from injuries and surgeries, rebuilding strength and mobility. It wasn't as prestigious as being a surgeon, but it was meaningful work. Caspian and I got married when I was 27. Small wedding, mostly because my parents spent their energy planning for Onyx's elaborate wedding 2 years earlier. Onyx attended our ceremony but left early, claiming he had an emergency surgery. "He's dedicated to his patients," my mother said admiringly. "That's what makes him such an excellent doctor." Caspian was less charitable. "He's rude. He couldn't give you one day?" "He's busy. It's fine." But it hurt. Everything with Onyx hurt in small, accumulating ways. 2 years into my marriage, I started having severe abdominal pain, sharp stabbing pains that doubled me over, nausea, vomiting. I went to my regular doctor, who ran tests and found nothing conclusive. The pain got worse over 3 weeks, until one night I collapsed in my kitchen. Caspian rushed me to the emergency room at Metropolitan Hospital, where Onyx worked. The ER doctor examined me and ordered imaging. My appendix had ruptured. I needed emergency surgery immediately. "We're prepping an OR now," the doctor said. "You're lucky we caught this. Ruptured appendix can cause sepsis quickly." "Is there a surgeon available?" Caspian asked. "Dr. Vance is on call tonight. He's one of our best." Caspian looked relieved. "That's Pearl's brother." I should have felt relieved too. My brilliant surgeon brother would take care of me. Instead, I felt uneasy. I couldn't explain why. Onyx came to see me before surgery, wearing scrubs, looking professional and detached. "Pearl, ruptured appendix. Pretty straightforward procedure. I'll take care of you." "Thanks, Onyx." "Family takes care of family, right?" He smiled, but something about it felt wrong. They wheeled me to surgery. The anesthesiologist put me under, and the world went dark. I woke up in recovery, in excruciating pain. More pain than I should have felt post-appendectomy. The nurses gave me morphine, but it barely touched the agony radiating through my abdomen. "Something's wrong," I told the recovery nurse. "This doesn't feel right." "You just had surgery, honey. Some pain is normal." But this wasn't normal. I'd worked with enough post-surgical patients to know the difference between normal recovery pain and something being seriously wrong. Onyx came to check on me an hour later. Surgery went well, removed the appendix, cleaned out the infection. You'll be sore for a while, but you should recover fine. It hurts so much, I said through tears. Something feels wrong. That's the infection. It was pretty advanced. You'll need to stay a few days for IV antibiotics. A few days turned into a week, then 2 weeks. The pain didn't improve. I developed a fever. My white blood cell count was elevated, indicating infection, but the antibiotics weren't helping. Caspian was beside himself. Why isn't she getting better? What's wrong with her? Sometimes infections are stubborn, Onyx said calmly. We're monitoring her closely. They did more imaging. Found fluid collections that suggested ongoing infection. They drained the fluid, but more appeared. I was stuck in a hospital bed in constant pain while doctors tried to figure out why I wasn't healing. My parents visited a few times but seemed more concerned with inconveniencing Onyx. You're taking up so much of your brother's time, my mother said. He has other patients. I didn't choose to be sick, Mom. I know, dear, but Onyx is working so hard to help you. Try to be grateful. I was grateful, at first. But as weeks dragged into a month, I started wondering why a routine appendectomy had resulted in such catastrophic complications. Caspian asked the questions I was afraid to voice. Should we get a second opinion? This seems unusual. You don't trust Onyx? My mother said, offended. He's one of the best surgeons in the state. I'm not questioning his skill. I'm questioning why Pearl isn't recovering. She had a severe infection. These things take time. 6 weeks after my surgery, a new doctor joined my case, Dr. Bellamy Frost, an infectious disease specialist. She reviewed my entire file, examined me thoroughly, and ordered additional imaging. I want to do an exploratory laparoscopy, she said. Your symptoms don't match your treatment. Something's being missed. Onyx objected. That's an unnecessary procedure. She just needs more time to heal. With all due respect, Dr. Vance, your sister has been hospitalized for 6 weeks with ongoing infection, despite aggressive antibiotic treatment. That's not normal. I want to look inside and see what we're missing. As her surgeon, I'm telling you it's unnecessary. As her current attending physician, I'm telling you it's necessary. And if you object further, I'll escalate to the department head. Onyx backed down, but his face was tight with anger. The exploratory surgery was scheduled for the next day. Dr. Frost performed it herself. What she found horrified everyone. Surgical gauze. Multiple pieces of surgical gauze left inside my abdominal cavity from my original appendectomy. The gauze had caused infections, adhesions, and ongoing complications that would have eventually killed me. Dr. Frost removed all the foreign material, cleaned out the infection, and repaired the damage. When I woke up from surgery, she was standing by my bed with a grim expression. Pearl, I need to tell you what we found. She explained everything. The gauze, the infections it caused, the fact that this should never happen with proper surgical protocols. Surgical gauze has tracking systems, she said. Counts are done before and after surgery to prevent exactly this situation. For multiple pieces to be left inside, you suggest either catastrophic negligence or something more deliberate. My blood ran cold. Deliberate? I'm required to report this. There will be an investigation. Caspian, who'd been sitting beside my bed, looked murderous. Who performed the original surgery? Dr. Onyx Vance, Dr. Frost said quietly. The hospital launched an immediate investigation. They reviewed surgical records, interviewed everyone in the OR that night, examined the gauze count documentation. What they found was damning. The gauze count had been correct before I was closed up, meaning someone had added gauze after the count, deliberately placing foreign objects inside me before closing the incision. And the gauze pieces had Onyx's initials on them. Every surgeon had personalized materials for tracking purposes. When confronted, Onyx claimed it was an innocent mistake, that he must have missed them during the procedure. But the investigation showed that was impossible. The placement of the gauze suggested it had been deliberately positioned to cause maximum damage while being difficult to detect on standard imaging. A medical review board was convened. Caspian and I attended the hearing, along with my parents, who refused to believe their golden child could have done something so monstrous. This is a witch hunt, my father said. Onyx has performed hundreds of successful surgeries. One complication doesn't make him a criminal. Dad, he left surgical materials inside me that almost killed me. It was an accident. Accidents happen in medicine. But the review board didn't think it was an accident. The evidence was too damning. The deliberate placement, the initiated gauze, the resistance to further investigation, the 6 weeks of watching me suffer while knowing exactly what was wrong. Pearl, you're saying I deliberately harmed you during surgery? That's a serious accusation. The second surgeon found surgical gauze left inside me, Onyx. Gauze with your initials on it. How do you explain that? Mistakes happen in surgery. It's unfortunate, but mistakes? You left foreign objects inside me that caused infections and kept me hospitalized for months. The review board said the placement was deliberate. You can't prove intent. And after everything I've done for you, this is how you repay me? Done for me? You almost killed me. I saved your life by operating on you in the first place. You sabotaged me. Why? What did I ever do to you? He looked at me with cold eyes. You existed. You were the mistake baby who took away our parents' attention when I needed them focused on my career. You were the burden they suddenly had to care for when they should have been supporting me through medical school. Everything became about you. The new baby, the surprise daughter. I became an afterthought in my own family. I stared at him, horrified. That was 27 years ago. I was a baby. And I've resented you ever since. Watching you build your mediocre little life, with your mediocre little job, marrying your mediocre little husband. You were supposed to stay small, stay needy, stay dependent. But you kept succeeding just enough to get attention. I was supposed to be the only success story in this family. So you tried to cripple me, keep me sick and dependent? I thought if you were sick enough, you'd need me. You'd finally appreciate what I could do for you. You'd stop trying to compete. Compete? I never competed with you. I idolized you. That wasn't enough. You were supposed to fail. My mother started crying. My father looked like he'd been punched. Even they couldn't deny the malice in Onyx's words. The medical board revoked Onyx's license immediately. The hospital terminated his employment. He was convicted of aggravated assault and medical malpractice, sentenced to 8 years in prison. His medical license was permanently revoked. His career was destroyed. My parents were devastated, not because their daughter had nearly died, but because their golden child had fallen from grace. How could you testify against your own brother? My mother asked me after the trial. How could he try to kill me? I shot back. He didn't try to kill you. It was a mistake that went too far. Mom, he admitted he did it deliberately to keep me dependent on him. He watched me suffer for 6 weeks knowing exactly what was wrong and did nothing. That's not a mistake. That's attempted murder. Don't be dramatic. He's your brother. He stopped being my brother when he left surgical gauze inside me. My father tried a different approach. He'll lose everything. His career, his reputation, his freedom. Can't you find it in your heart to forgive him? Can you find it in your heart to care that I almost died? They couldn't answer that, because the truth was, they'd never cared about me the way they cared about Onyx. I was the inconvenient late baby. He was the golden child, the success story, the source of their pride. Even after everything, they mourned his lost career more than they celebrated my survival. I cut contact with my parents after the trial. They'd made their choice, and it wasn't me. My recovery was long and difficult. The infections had caused significant damage. I had adhesions, chronic pain, digestive issues. I had to take medical leave from my job for 6 months. Physical therapy, which I usually provided to others, became my own daily reality. Caspian was incredible throughout everything. He took time off work to care for me, attended every doctor's appointment, helped with my physical therapy exercises, held me when I cried from pain and betrayal. Your family is insane, he said one night. You deserve so much better than them. I got better. I got you. Damn right you did. I went back to work after 6 months, but I couldn't do everything I used to do. The chronic pain limited my ability to demonstrate certain exercises or work long shifts. My employer was understanding, adjusting my caseload and responsibilities, but I mourned the loss of my full capabilities. One of my patients, an elderly woman named Temperance, noticed my limitation during a session. You're in pain, she observed. Old injury. I manage. Was it an accident? No, it was deliberate. She studied me with wise eyes. Someone hurt you on purpose? My brother, during surgery. And you survived it? Barely. Then you're stronger than whatever he tried to make you. Remember that on the hard days. I did remember. On days when the pain was bad, when I felt limited and broken, I reminded myself that I'd survived. I'd faced someone who was supposed to love me trying to destroy me, and I'd come out the other side. Onyx wrote me letters from prison. I burned them without reading them. I didn't care about his justifications, his apologies, or his attempts to explain. Nothing he could say would change what he'd done. My parents tried to maintain contact for a while, sending cards on holidays, calling occasionally. I didn't respond. Eventually, they stopped trying. I heard through extended family that they'd moved to be closer to the prison where Onyx was incarcerated, visiting him regularly, still supporting their golden child even after everything. I built a new family instead. Caspian's parents welcomed me with open arms, treating me like the daughter they'd always wanted. My friend Paloma became like a sister, checking on me constantly, celebrating my small victories. Dr. Frost remained a mentor and friend. I created a chosen family of people who actually cared about me. 3 years after the surgery, I ran a 5K race. It took me longer than most people, and I was in pain for 2 days afterward, but I finished. Caspian was at the finish line, crying and cheering. It was a small victory, but it mattered. Every limitation I overcame was a rejection of what Onyx had tried to do to me. I saw him once after his release from prison, purely by accident. I was grocery shopping when I turned a corner and nearly ran into him. He looked older, diminished, wearing a retail store uniform. His medical career was gone forever, and apparently he was working at an electronics store. "Pearl," he said, looking shocked. I stared at him, feeling nothing. No anger, no fear, no sadness. Just nothing. "You're looking well," he said awkwardly. "I'm alive. No thanks to you. I've had a lot of time to think about what I did. I was wrong. I was jealous and cruel, and I destroyed both our lives. You destroyed your life. I survived mine. I'm sorry. I know that doesn't mean anything, but I am truly sorry." "You're right. It doesn't mean anything." I walked away. He called after me, but I didn't turn around. He'd taken enough of my time, my health, my peace. He didn't get anything more. I'm 33 now. I still have chronic pain. I still have limitations. But I also have a life I built despite someone's best efforts to destroy it. I have a husband who loves me, friends who support me, work that matters to me. If a family member deliberately harmed you in a way that nearly cost you your life, and they later claim to be sorry after facing consequences, would you forgive them? Or would you protect yourself by keeping them permanently out of your life?